Imagine standing at the edge of a promise that generations have waited to see fulfilled. Behind you lies wilderness, uncertainty, and years of wandering. Ahead of you stands a future shaped by faith, courage, and trust. This is where the story begins. Today we walk through the opening chapters of Joshua, a moment when leadership changes, fear meets faith, and God's promises begin to unfold in ways no one could fully predict. You can listen as you go about your day, while driving, working, resting, or simply taking a quiet moment for yourself, and let the story move with you. After the death of Moses, the servant who had led Israel for decades, the people faced a new reality. The voice that guided them through deserts and miracles was gone. Into that silence, God spoke to Joshua, Moses' assistant, calling him to lead the people forward. Joshua was told to rise, to cross the Jordan River, and to guide the nation into the land long promised to their ancestors. God did not promise Joshua an easy path. Instead, he promised presence. Joshua was told to be strong and courageous, not once but again and again. Courage would not come from Joshua's own strength, but from the assurance that God would be with him wherever he went. The law given through Moses was to remain close to Joshua's heart, shaping his decisions day and night. Success would come not from ambition, but from obedience. Joshua then spoke to the people, preparing them for movement after years of waiting. The tribes gathered their families and belongings, ready to step into something new. Even tribes who had already received land on the eastern side of the Jordan promised to help their brothers secure the land ahead. Unity became their strength as they prepared to cross into unfamiliar territory. Before entering the land, Joshua sent 2 spies into the city of Jericho. They entered quietly and found shelter in the home of Rahab. Though she lived among people who feared Israel's arrival, Rahab recognized something deeper. She had heard stories of how God had parted seas and defeated powerful kings. Fear had filled her city, but faith had grown within her. She chose to protect the spies, believing that the God of Israel was truly powerful. In return, the spies promised safety for Rahab and her family when the city would eventually fall. She lowered them from her window by a rope, and they escaped into the hills. That night, hope and fear existed side by side. Rahab's courage showed that faith can rise even in unexpected places. Soon the moment arrived for Israel to cross the Jordan River. During harvest season, the river overflowed its banks, creating a barrier impossible to cross by human effort alone. Yet when the priests carrying the ark stepped into the water, the flow stopped. The river stood still, and the people crossed on dry ground. Each step echoed memories of another miracle long before, reminding them that the same God who parted the sea was still guiding them now. 12 stones were taken from the riverbed and set up as a memorial so future generations would ask why they were there. The answer would always point back to God's faithfulness. Memory became part of worship, a way to remember that miracles were not accidents but signs of divine guidance. After crossing, the people paused before advancing further. They renewed their covenant with God, marking a spiritual beginning before a physical conquest. The manna that had fed them in the wilderness ceased, and they began eating food from the land itself. The season of wandering was truly over. One evening, Joshua encountered a mysterious figure standing with a drawn sword. When Joshua asked whether he was friend or enemy, the figure replied that he was the commander of the Lord's army. Joshua fell in reverence, realizing that the coming battles would not belong to human strategy alone. Victory would depend on alignment with God rather than personal strength. The city of Jericho stood fortified and closed tightly in fear of Israel's arrival. Instead of attacking with weapons, God gave unusual instructions. For 6 days, the people marched around the city once each day while priests blew trumpets. No shouting, no battle cries, only silent obedience. On the 7th day, they marched 7 times, and at the final trumpet blast, the people shouted together. The walls collapsed. The victory came not through military power, but through trust in God's direction. Rahab and her family were spared, just as promised, showing that faith and mercy were woven into the story even during conquest. Yet success was quickly followed by failure. When Israel attempted to capture the smaller city of Ai, they were unexpectedly defeated. Confusion spread through the camp. Joshua sought God, and it was revealed that someone had secretly taken forbidden items from Jericho, breaking the command given to the people. Hidden disobedience affected the entire community. The man responsible, Achan, had taken treasures and concealed them among his belongings. His actions reminded the nation that obedience was not optional. After justice was carried out and the wrongdoing addressed, the people were restored and prepared to move forward again. This time, Joshua approached Ai with careful strategy guided by God. An ambush was set, drawing the city's defenders away while another group entered from behind. The city fell, and Israel learned that both faith and wisdom were necessary as they moved forward. Joshua then led the people to renew their commitment once more. The law was read aloud before all, men, women, children, and foreigners among them, so everyone understood the path they were called to follow. Blessings and warnings were spoken openly, reminding them that their future depended on their choices. Nearby nations began to fear Israel's growing success. The people of Gibeon chose deception instead of confrontation. Pretending to come from a distant land, they sought peace with Israel. Without seeking God's guidance first, Israel made a treaty with them. Soon the truth was discovered, but the agreement remained binding. The Gibeonites were allowed to live, becoming servants within Israel's community. When surrounding kings heard of this alliance, they attacked Gibeon for joining Israel. Joshua marched overnight to defend them. During battle, as daylight began to fade, Joshua prayed boldly for more time. The sun appeared to stand still, allowing Israel to complete the victory. The moment became a powerful reminder that faith sometimes asks boldly, trusting that God hears even extraordinary prayers. One by one, opposing kings were defeated, and the land began to open before Israel. Cities that once seemed unreachable fell as Joshua continued leading with determination. The victories were not described as effortless, but as evidence that God fought alongside his people. The campaigns continued across southern regions and then toward the north. Coalitions of kings gathered against Israel, yet Joshua advanced without fear. Horses and chariots, symbols of military superiority, did not determine the outcome. Trust remained their greatest strength. Gradually, the land found rest from war. The long list of defeated kings served as a record not of conquest alone, but of promises fulfilled step by step. What began as words spoken to Abraham generations earlier was becoming visible reality. Through these events, Joshua emerged not as a replacement for Moses, but as a leader shaped by obedience and courage. He listened carefully, acted faithfully, and reminded the people that success came from following God rather than relying solely on human ability. Journey into the Promised Land was not only about territory, it was about transformation. A wandering people were becoming a settled nation. Fear was slowly replaced with confidence. Lessons learned in deserts now guided life in abundance. And as the story pauses here, the people stand within the promise they once only imagined. The same God who led them through uncertainty had carried them into fulfillment, proving that faith often requires stepping forward before the path becomes clear. As you continue your day, remember that every new season begins with courage. Like Joshua, we are often called to move forward while uncertainty still exists. Strength grows not from knowing every outcome, but from trusting the one who walks ahead. If this message encouraged you, type Amen in the comments and subscribe to Eden Notes for more faith-building teaching. Let these words stay with you as you go forward today, remembering that promises unfold one faithful step at a time.